you were in theater, you were an actor, you were a voiceover artist. How you come in politics? Are you involved with the NDP way before, or it's just your first time? How's people's reaction when you go for door knocking? What issues they come up with? How you convince people to stand with NDP? Why NDP? Why you chose NDP? Why you want to run from NDP?
Well, the NDP for me, they were the ones who essentially, they had the things that most aligned with my personal belief.
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਸਾਂਝਾ ਟੀਵੀ। ਮੈਂ ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਰਸ਼ਦੀਪ। ਡਿਸੀਜਨ 2021 ਫੈਡਰਲ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਆਰ ਔਨ ਸੈਪਟੈਂਬਰ 20th ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਡਿਸੀਜਨ ਲੈਣਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਸ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਵੋਟ ਪਾਉਣੀ ਹੈ। Today we are having NDP candidate from Vancouver South. He is a Cree-Métis labor activist who is focused on helping to create a people-first society. Let's welcome him and talk about the various issues he wants to address. So first of all, I have Sean McQuillan. Let's welcome him. Sean, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
How's campaign going?
Really good. It's been very reflective at the door. Everyone's been very supportive. You know, everyone has a lot to say, and I'm really willing to listen, and it's been very, very fulfilling.
First of all, tell us, you were in theater, you were an actor, you were a voiceover artist. How you come in politics? How you create your interest towards the politics from the film industry?
Well, no, it's very interesting. So, I mean, originally I did work as a theater actor, didn't make any money, and so I ended up in the film industry. And the film industry is a huge industry in British Columbia. We're now the second largest industry, and I came it through being a film technician. So I work behind the scenes. I work doing set decoration, props. I handle everything an actor touches, to building the stages and scenes that they inhabit, which is fantastic. And everything in film is unionized. So I joined a union, and from there I got benefits. I got pharmacare, I got dental care, I got eyeglass care, mental health supports, all of these things. And I thought to myself, why doesn't everybody have this? And that really started to lead me down the path of pursuing politics. I started engaging in national conferences, international conferences. I started a nonprofit in childcare to help support the film industry, which is now going to be even further into non-film industries as well. You know, working anyone outside of 9 to 5. And I'll be happy to talk about that later. But that's really what got me down that path, and it's really just continued to push me even further down it.
And you took decision to come in front of the camera, and then
so all the training before finally pays off on the other side, yeah.
And now, why NDP? If I'll ask you before asking the platform or anything, why NDP? Why you chose NDP? Why you want to run from NDP?
Well, the NDP for me, they were the ones who essentially, they had the things that most aligned with my personal beliefs. You know, like I said, pharmacare was one of my gateways in. I went, the NDP are the only ones really pursuing for pharmacare. And in my research, I found out, you know, pharmacare saves the country money. Everyone asks how you're going to pay for it, but it saves the money not only in how we purchase and use the drugs, but in society. So people taking their medications don't end up in the hospital, and hospital beds are expensive. So financially, it is the smarter way to go, and to improve people's health, it is the best way to go. So that was really, the NDP initially got me in that way, and then it went further and further in, you know, wage and wealth inequality, housing, things like that they are pursuing. I find they're the only party for me that is doing the right things.
Are you involved with the NDP way before, or it's just your first time?
This is my second time running.
Okay.
But I will say I've not been like a lifelong member. I was just a regular person working that was starting to pursue different goals. I created a nonprofit for childcare, and I was meeting with the Minister of Childcare, Katrina Chen. And before my meeting, she said, can you wait a minute? I have a meeting with someone else. And I went, oh, all right. And that meeting was with Jagmeet Singh.
Oh.
And so I got to meet Jagmeet Singh that day, and we had a good conversation. He met my son, my wife, and he said, wow, I really like what you're about. Why don't you consider, you know, joining? Why don't you consider running? And so since then, he's been nothing but supportive, and I've been working very, very hard to
Very nice. And when we talk about 2021, so right now, pandemic, in middle of pandemic, the election were called. How's people's reaction when you go for door knocking? What issues they come up with? with?
You know, it's funny, even though COVID is very, very real and people are having difficulties, you know, adjusting to it financially, you know, with safeties and concerns, people are still mostly concerned about affordability, about the ability to have a home, about the ability to afford day-to-day life. That seems to be the #1 thing that people always talk to me about. And, you know, I'm a firm believer that you should only spend 25% of your income on housing, but in Vancouver, people are spending far more than that.
What's the NDP's plan to tackle the housing and affordability?
Now, they're planning to build 500,000 new units, and that's kind of the baseline of what's going on. But how those new units aren't just units for a market to purchase in general, they are affordable units, which means they're reflective of the median income so that people who earn, you know, an average living are able to afford them. Because right now, what's happening is people are being priced out of the market and there's no available options. So making sure that we have housing that is attached to income ensures that we're able to have everyone in a home.
If we'll talk about healthcare, as you said, pharmacare is a big issue. We want to settle it down. And then when it comes with dental care, and NDP is promising to give the dental care in MSP. It will cover if you form a government. How it will work?
Well, with the dental care right now, it's actually set under a threshold for income. So if you earn below a certain income, you will for sure be covered, which is what we're trying to do for, you know, all the basics, you know, dental, cleaning, crowns, etc. So that because your dental health, I don't know if you know, the nerve endings are connected to your brain very highly, and so your oral health is so important to your overall health. And the fact that it's been ignored by our healthcare system has really contributed to a lot of problems. I know my own father; he did not get dental care, and it didn't affect him very positively. He passed away of cancer, you know, over a decade ago, and it was something where any of those health supports, that's both my parents actually passed away of cancer, which is why I want to really focus on people first supports, because I don't want anyone else to go through something like that. And
with the health, there is a mental health issues as well. And right now, after pandemic, it will be worst with the people. So what will be the NDP's plan for mental health or mental care?
Now, mental health supports are fundamental. Like on top of being able to access resources and different forms of support, so that, you know, you can seek help if you need it, so that you can have, you know, community. Sense of community is so important to mental health, and that's something that's often pushed to the wayside. It's a phone call, it's something like that, but creating community, creating that sense of belonging is very important to mental health. Not to mention, finances is important to mental health. And so ensuring that we have these other supports built in, like possibly even a guaranteed livable basic income, is something we're looking long-term into building. So you have financial and physical well-being, your needs are taken care of, you have a sense of community. That is what really affects mental health more than anything else.
And there is one more crisis here when we talk about the climate change, the environment. What will be the NDP's plan if they will elect in 2021? What they will do for the environment?
Well, the IPCC report, I'm not sure if you're aware of, was released a couple of weeks ago on August 9th. And it states that if we don't reduce emissions, within the next 10 years, by 2050, we'll have a 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius increase in global temperature, right? And so with the NDP, right now, the Liberal stance is net zero by 2050, but 2050 is not soon enough. And also how we even calculate our emissions is not accurate, because we pay for offsets for other countries to allow us to continue polluting. So our emissions are not going down. And so having a large transition by investing heavily into green technology, by transitioning into sustainable energies, is what the NDP is going to do.
NDP is promising many things: environment, housing, affordability, everything to make this country livable for everyone. When we're talking about the deficit on the country, it's already 31.5 billion, and you guys are promising many more. How you will balance the budget? How the taxes will increase to the people? They have to pay more taxes.
No.
What will be the plan for that?
This is the thing, is right now the wage and wealth inequality that's happened in the world is because all our wealth has been funneled to essentially the top 1% or even the 0.01%. Like if you start looking at the billionaires in Canada who gained over $76 billion over over the pandemic, you know, there was a transition of wealth from the middle class to these very select few. So ensuring that there is a wealth tax on them to bring that money back into general society, to close tax loopholes for the corporations and the people that are escaping with their money to, you know, with the Panama Papers, things like that. We've noticed that we have evidence of these people getting the money out of the country or hoarding it. To ensure that that money comes back in a way so that it can support everybody is paramount, because the inequality is only what's aggravating all of these issues, including climate change.
And when we're talking about NDP overall, people are thinking that it will be the proxy, I can say, proxy vote for liberals, because they always stand with liberals. How you convince people to stand with NDP?
Well, this is great, because how people campaign and how they vote in the House of Commons is entirely different. So on ourcommons.ca, it's a website that everyone has access to. You can see what MPs and MPs have voted for in the House of Commons, and you'll find that both the Conservatives and Liberals often vote together. They've both voted against pharmacare. They've voted against closing tax loopholes. These were already brought up in the last sitting of Parliament, and those two parties voted together. So this isn't about the NDP propping up the Liberals. We are getting concessions to allow government to run. You know, the $2,000 that we got from CERB was because of the NDP fighting for it. The Liberals wanted just an expanded EI that wouldn't have even covered close to that. So when we're saying, what are you going to do? When you elect an NDP government, they're the people that are going to be fighting for everybody.
Economic recovery is the main election issue, we can say. If it's an issue for the Canadians, how will recover our economy? How will we will be back on track? How jobs will the government will create more jobs? How people will go again back on track? So what will be the plan for economic recovery with the NDP? Well,
it's about strategic investment. So right now, a lot of the things that we do is we provide subsidies to corporations to allow their business into our country. And for some of that, it's fantastic, but there has to be caveats of those to ensure that the wages are high. A lot of the time there isn't. And so we're giving these blank checks to these companies and not getting any profits back in the country. The profits are going out to, you know, America or other countries. So massive investment into Canada and making crown corporations so that the profits stay in Canada is a big part of that.
Well, let's talk about Vancouver South. You are running from Vancouver South. What main issues you think the last MP is not addressed? Well, he didn't address anything.
Once again, I will say the number one thing at the door is affordability. And, you know, when he did an announcement recently about affordable housing being built in the River District, it's about housing that it costs between $80,000. You require an income between $80,000 and $130,000 to qualify for. But the median income in the area is $70,000. So you're telling me then less than half of the people in the area don't even qualify for the affordable housing that is being built. So in Vancouver South, we have some of the most robust co-op systems in, you know, all of British Columbia. And to expand and protect those co-ops whose leases are coming up to expire is very important to the people in the area. So I want to both protect the existing co-ops and expand new ones and make sure that they're attached to wages so that people earning the median income can afford to live.
Guns, gangs, and drugs, that is the main issue as well when we are living in Lower Mainland, or it's not a Lower Mainland's issue, no, it's not Surrey's issue, it's everywhere.
Everybody's issue.
How NDP will tackle that issue?
Well, here's the thing is we've criminalized drug users, and the problem is there's a criminal aspect and there's a user aspect. And what's happening right now is by punishing users, what we've done is drive them into these underground places where they cannot receive help. So decriminalization is something that people in the NDP are exploring, and the reason for that is so that it becomes a health issue and not a criminal issue. And you can focus on the crime aspect. Fentanyl, which has basically entered everybody's streams right now for drug use, is because it's more profitable. People are too poor to afford the richer drugs that were previously being done. And now fentanyl, because it's inexpensive and you can make a higher profit, they've put it not only into the heroin supply, but it's mitigated into other drug supplies as well. And this isn't just affecting people who are, you know, down and out on the lower, the lower ends of society. Middle class people, upper class people, you know, people should not have to risk their lives because they're using drugs. You know, they should be able to have help and they should be able to have safe supplies. So I think taking that, you can remove the criminal aspect by mitigating, you know, how the users are accessing it.
If you elect in 2021 from Vancouver South, what main issues? One, you already said affordability. What else? What another 3 issues you want to work on?
Well, absolutely the climate. I'm thinking that right now no one is really taking the climate crisis seriously. When you have a report like the IPCC report right before a federal election and it's barely being talked about, that just shows that people are not taking it seriously. And I'm a millennial. I'm 35 years old. Justin Trudeau, by the net zero 2050, will be 78 years old. He's not going to live with the results of what's happening, but I will, and so will my children. So it's very important to me that that is taken very, very seriously, and that's going to take massive investment, and it's going to ensure that we really make sure that's a priority.
And what else?
I think once again, health supports is another big thing for me. I want to make sure that pharmacare, dental care, eye care, everything like that, mental health is supported, because once again, when you support people from the base up, the rest of economy follows. If people aren't being forced to spend their money on prescriptions, they're going to be able to put it in other places, which helps the economy.
We talked about NDP's platform, right? And you are running from NDP. But when the Vancouver South people will ask, why Sean? Why will we elect Sean? What will be your answer?
Because I'll listen. I'll be part of the community. And I think the most difficult thing about having a minister as your member of parliament is you're not always able to vocalize and have your voice heard at a local level. And so for me, my big thing is I want to have community outreach. I want to have people in every major language, Punjabi, Tagalog, Cantonese, Mandarin. I want to have community access points. So if you even don't speak English as your first language, but you want to have your voice heard, you'll have a point of contact that you can reach out to that is direct to me, and I will communicate with you directly, because I don't want anyone to be left behind.
That's nice. And what will be your message for September 20th to the people, to the audiences?
I think the biggest thing that I want to portray against people is we've been making the same decision again and again with the Liberals and the Conservatives, and things have not objectively gotten better. And I think with an NDP government, what we can do is we can push for better than we've had. And I know personally that I will fight for that.
Thank you so much, Sean, and good luck for the elections.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we talked with Sean, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਪਰ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਲੈਕਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੋਟ ਪਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਜਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ Liberals, Conservative or NDP. Look at their platform, take research, do research, and take part in elections, because elections ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਨੇ 20th ਨੂੰ ਨੇ. You can take a part in mail-in ballot, you can go advance poll, or you can go in person on September 20th. So result ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਆ ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੱਕ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਉਂਦੇ ਰਵਾਂਗੇ. Keep watching Sanjha TV, and ਮੈਨੂੰ ਅਰਸ਼ਦੀਪ ਨੂੰ ਦਿਓ ਇਜਾਜ਼ਤ. ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ.